Good day. My name is Tom Friesen. I'm happy to be with you today to share this presentation. And the Camino in COVID times. Tune in, but step out. The current closure of the Camino due to the pandemic changes everything. Shut out from the deeply personal, physical events where we can sense the sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and feel of places in a special meaning, we are isolated by our necessity for safety away from the local, focal living experience of the Camino. I have long felt that overusing technology can take us out of the sense of presence and wonder, which we need to feel to be authentically on the Camino. The irony is that currently, to be safe, technology has become most effective as a conduit to link pilgrims. In this text, I want to explore the ways that can happen and to determine some of the best practices to make technology the servant and not the master of our Camino connections. I also want to discuss ways to be on the Camino close to home, sharing positive and negative aspects of pilgrims leaving their own front door to return home nightly after a walking meditation in search of Camino experiences on this side of the Atlantic. The Camino has experienced ebbs and flows due to plagues, wars, religious conflicts, and economic conditions. The footprint of towns across the Camino reveal that there are times when many more pilgrims walked to and back from Santiago than even in recent years. This perspective may be helpful in taking a longer-term view that the Camino will return, although I suspect it may forever be changed by the current pandemic. Those of us who plan a yearly or regular Camino now must find alternative experiences to the intensely personal, in-the-moment contact that the Camino has always provided. I find it ironic that while previously I'd felt technology had changed the Camino somewhat for the worse, it now allows us to connect for Camino-like experiences. As hospitalero, I have seen the changes that technology has wrought. Pilgrims booking ahead and changing the questions from, are there beds available, to, does this albergue have Wi-Fi and plugs for me to connect with my devices to recharge them? The meditative silence of the Camino has been impacted by people walking while talking on cell phones, taking pictures, or plugged into music. I admire John Briarty's comments that we should limit our use of technology as it takes us out of the moment while we are walking in masks, the music of the spheres. To stay connected to the Camino in COVID times, we largely need to rely on technology, which has arrived at just the right moment to allow us to be together while being socially distanced. There are a variety of systems to use, but I am now advocating for the use of social media and electronic meeting platforms to bring the Camino and our fellow pilgrims into our lives while we hold ourselves apart and in place for the safety of everyone. Certainly, small groups of pilgrims continue to meet, walk together, and to enjoy coffee and conversation, spaced out, often masked, and largely out of doors. Clearly, these opportunities are limited by the need to be socially distanced and the comfort or discomfort of local outdoor weather conditions. The nightly end-of-stage communion on the Camino has by necessity moved to chats, forum posts, blogs entries, electronic meetings by those proficient with this relatively simple technology to share ideas and information, to find the rich treasure trove of Camino connection. We have conducted successful meetings of our local chapter group of the Canadian Company of Pilgrims using meeting technology. We gather remotely on a weekly basis for Camino coffee to continue a 15-year tradition of meeting and sharing conversations and information face-to-face. We have interviewed authors or watched Camino presentations at home aided by technology. We recommend YouTube videos to each other. Some show the Camino as it existed, and it is now awaiting pilgrims again. There are some excellent Camino podcast interviews of pilgrims. historians, archaeologists, and the like. I meet with other hospitaleros from around the world weekly to share our hopes, memories, and perspectives. I am conducting a weekly song course for hospitaleros for people from several different countries around the world in up to 6 languages. Technology is challenging for this use, as the variety of internet users have different timings in their reception of the signal, and therefore singing in unison is a dream more than a reality. What works best is for people to follow a leader or a YouTube music video with their own microphone turned off. That way they can belt out the songs without disrupting the timing and tones of others. I try to find songs that have the words clearly shown. And where this does not exist, I toggle over from playing a video to sharing the words on the screen. The variety of time zone poses a challenge, but if you can schedule for the convenience of attendees, you can surmount some of the many challenges of technology. Recording will also allow some time shifting by attendees. Successful meetings of up to a couple of hours can connect people who previously were motivated and able to meet face to face. Recently, I was one of the attendees in a gathering of 150 hospitaleros, primarily from Spain, but together with 18 other countries over 2 days or for a couple of hours at each gathering. The next day, I attended a gathering of 30 largely Italian hospitaleros with 3 other countries involved. Video presentations, breakout rooms, and the use of technology to allow for questions, polls, interactions were used. One of the chapters of the American Pilgrims recently held a Camino trivia contest with participants from across the USA, Canada, and Great Britain. In live virtual meetings, the bandwidth of the participants can also be an issue. If sound or freezing of the screen is experienced, directly connecting to a router or moving closer to it, plus turning the video off, often improves auditory reception. For further success with sound quality, muting participants upon arrival, and they tend to be the noises, or calling on them for comment and place them in breakout rooms for discussion of topics allows for optimal sound quality. The host has to be able to mute or allow unmuting if they choose to exert this power. You can share screens to show a PowerPoint or video and pass the host's role around. Although from one experience, make sure that the new host is clear about how to pass the host responsibility back, or your meeting will be shortened. Certainly, practice and patience are often helpful, as well as a sense of humor. These are the video. There are videos to help you master these technologies. We have often heard that the true Camino begins at its end. Currently, to have a physical Camino experience while being safe from COVID-19, we are walking out our own front door and returning home on the same day. Of course, many walkers use technology to measure their distance and speed, and some enterprises have been created with applications to tell you where you would be if you were actually walking the Camino. Fortunately, where I live, there are a myriad of local trail experiences. At this high point of the pandemic, trail associations and hiking clubs, largely mandated by government and medical authorities, are currently limiting participants on an organized hike, often to 10 or less. Frequently, hikers are required to be members and register in advance, confirming that they are free of symptoms. Pre-signing a waiver, social distancing, and conscientious use of masks are required by some hiking groups. Some organizations have canceled organized hikes altogether. Currently, carpooling outside your bubble is not allowed, and consequently, some parking access points are becoming overwhelmed. The upside is that we are seeing many more people using trails and joining trail associations as members. The downside of this is that people naive to hiking etiquette may be leaving litter or wandering off trail, not seeing the right to other oncoming groups, or failing to social distance. I also have concerns for their safety around getting lost or injured due to ignorance of best practices. Returning pilgrims have long dreamed and talked about replicating the Camino de Santiago in our country, and we are fortunate to have some pilgrimage experiences as well as well-connected sets of trails. Some have plenty of bed and breakfasts in close proximity. The trails tend to be very well marked with line-of-sight blazes. As you stand beside one blaze, you can see the next blaze forward as well as the blaze behind you. The blazes we use in my province are largely white, vertical, 6 inches by 2 inches wide, as developed by the Appalachian Trail Association. There was nothing here that matched the Camino de Santiago in Spain or Portugal for inexpensive hospitality. But if we cannot yet fly to get there, we have some more disposable income to pay for higher priced accommodation. One challenge that may need special attention is replicating the Camino's transformational impact when you're walking close to home. One feature about a pilgrimage to a distant destination is that you have the advantage of dropping your roles, responsibilities, and identity to just become a pilgrim. This, of course, is much harder to achieve when you are coming home nightly. Possibly setting out daily meditative challenges may focus the pilgrim's thoughts with the goal of creating a transformational experience as part of walking without being able to go to Europe or elsewhere at this time. Some transformational techniques could be as follows. Carry a shell or some other communal symbol. Walk with someone in mind, recalling experiences, hopes, and dreams for them. Pose a daily question as you set out. Sing as you walk. Recite poetry. Practice expressing yourself in a second language. Walk a labyrinth. Consider pivotal events in your life. Set goals for the next stages of your life. There are resources to assist in this endeavor. After the hike, consider journaling, drawing or painting, writing a song or poem. The opportunity to go on Camino will return. In the meantime, we can return to the experience using technology and the simple act of walking from our own doorsteps, just as the pilgrims of old did. Thank you for your time and attention to view this. I'll be happy to answer questions in the general session. Have a good evening.